Well, Julie, it's over.
If we thought it couldn't get worse, somehow it got worse.
You know, I ain't gonna say I'm mad at the whole thing because everybody else talk about how mad they are. I am not mad. I'm just here to discuss why.
Listen, if anything I'm gonna do on this podcast is I'm gonna be a Gabler defender.
And I'm gonna defend him right there with you because the man deserves to win when he won. So there it is. We put it out there.
Make that 3 because I told y'all so last week.
All I'm saying is, I peeped the man's game 2 weeks ago, and I was like, "No one is going to win this game if he keep playing the way he playing." And
I remember my first time on this podcast. I said, people were like, "I don't think Gabriel has a chance. He could be a 0 vote finalist." I said, if Gabriel could go to the end and actually explain his game, unlike Mike from last season, he could. Here we go.
Period. So look, we just gonna start the show off spoiling it all if you ain't there.
Yeah, no, there's no subtlety at all. Welcome.
It's the finale. But let's introduce I guess
welcome to the Cup, the currently unnamed podcast where we put the tea in reality, and you can always come to us first to quench your thirst. I'm Logan Murphy, a Say Something Gay. I was finally able to change my name on Twitter to a Say Something Gay, and it makes me really happy. So I'm just gonna leave it. But for now, we are drinking peach Red Bull because I'm still in finals.
Good for you. And I am Lana, your resident diva, here to give the tea, spill the tea, and drink all the tea. And if you have some tea, you know what to do. Hit me up because I love a nice piping cup of tea, period. I am drinking nothing because I am not at home. I am out. And so that's all y'all need to know. So I have nothing, but I'm always hydrated because I drink plenty of water throughout the day. Thank you.
Hello. I'm Jack. I'm a college student, a game designer, a Twitch streamer, coffee addict, and an overall mess. And I've had a day. It's been a lot.
I mean, did you just say gay designer or game designer? Because it sounded like gay designer to me. But either way.
Game designer. Gay designer would imply very different things.
You could be both, honey. You could be both, honey.
Jack, just
I do not make thirst traps on TikTok. That would be a gay designer.
I was about to say I was ready for your new designs.
I can barely get out of bed and put on like shirts and pants that match. I cannot do designs.
I love that for you.
Yeah, and everyone, I'm Robyn, back again. Missed last week. We need to get into this. I can't wait to hear y'all's opinion. I also need explanations on certain things because I was kind of confused by some of the episodes too. So I can't wait to get into it. And I, just like Logan, I'm also drinking a Red Bull, except it's dragon fruit flavor.
Period.
Love that. Red Bull, if you hear us, sponsorship, thank you.
I would cry, scream, and throw up.
Also, I know I never said this, but
I need help.
I never knew this was called the currently unnamed podcast. I was like, that is really good. That is really good.
We basically with this name, by the way. That was
Sam de Monteverde, aka Sam DMV, aka Anissa Long. That was their doing. So
yes.
In the early days, which by the time y'all are seeing this, we have celebrated our 1-year anniversary. It happened. We made it to a year.
Yay.
But we're not here to talk about that today. We're here to talk about, we already said it, Gabler won this whole goddamn season. And, you know...
What? If you would have talked to me at the beginning of this season, I would not I would not have said Gabler was going to win this game. There's no way anybody was saying Gabler was going to win this game at the beginning of the season.
Nope.
But there was a turning point, and it was called Merge. It was called Merge because once that man got into Merge, Gabler started playing this game, and he started playing it so well that people didn't even realize that they were being played by Gabler. And 2 weeks ago, on this very podcast, I said, if Gabler makes it to the end of this game, he is going to win this game. Even though Owen was my winner pick from the beginning, I said, if Gabler makes it to the end, he's going to win because he's doing the work that nobody is seeing. And if he explains his game correctly at the jury, they're going to see it and they're going to be impressed. And that is what happened.
Yeah. And I'm gonna be real, this wasn't the final three I pictured. This wasn't my ideal final three. I would have preferred to see either Jesse or Carla up in the final three.
Yes.
But alas, we unfortunately had Owen, Cassidy, and Gabler in the end.
And you want to know who I predicted last week on this very podcast to be in the final three? The final three. And you know who I also predicted to win the season? The man that won the season. So I'm gonna toot my own horn there. I mean, I am really not surprised. I am and I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
I don't think up until Final Tribal, I don't think he would have won the season. And I think Final Tribal, he really did what he needed to do in that scenario. Yeah. Also, I just realized the music is still on. Thank you, Lana. I was like,
I thought it was a choice. I thought it was.
I was like, I'm
choice.
enjoying the soundtrack in the background.
Maybe we need to start doing music for all of them. I don't know. With some people, I found it actually drowns out their audio altogether. So, whatever.
I was hearing it, but I was like, did he mean?
I was vibing,
but okay, let's stop. I really was I didn't know how this was going to work, this final scenario of it all. But I'm like, was I that mad? Not really. I wasn't mad at the outcome. Let's say that. I wasn't mad at the winner. I was kind of upset with the final three. I didn't like the final three. I wanted Carla or Jesse or both in that final three because I felt like they deserved to be there, but they fumbled. This Carla's last 2 weeks have been very bad for Carla. Let's start there.
Yeah,
the last 2 weeks have been very bad.
I refuse to acknowledge it. I refuse. I'm sorry. I don't see it. The game. It was really weird that they just ended at Final 5 this season and like all of the footage was lost. I don't understand. They also made the players the jury for some reason and they just voted for I don't understand.
What?
It was so weird.
Carla was just suddenly not in the game anymore, and then it was Final 4.
And then they automatically just chose Jesse out of nowhere to go just sit in that jury.
It didn't make sense.
It didn't make sense. It didn't make sense at all.
No.
Okay.
So do we want to go chronologically to talk about this, or does it really matter?
I kind of want to go chronologically because I do have a small rant going in. So I'm very happy that they did show us why Jesse had Cody's idol. Because that was not explained at all during the last tribal council, which, great, they're going to leave us in more suspense and then explain it. Mm-hmm. Thank God the editors did something right. But I posted a whole TikTok on this earlier today. I did the math earlier, and simply put, if Jesse just didn't play the idol, him or Carla almost guaranteed would have gotten to the him or Carla guaranteed would have gotten to the final three, because they both play an idol because Jesse already knows during that final 6 tribal council that the votes are going to be on Cody. That's something he already knows. So the only reason he's doing that is to flush Carla's idol.
Yes.
But if he thought about it for 2 more seconds and realized, wait a minute, I'm going to have to make fire. I need somebody who I can go against, or for them to send someone else other than me. You don't flush the idols. Suddenly, Jesse has the perfect move of literally being able to cause a Suri by simply the amount of idols and the immunity necklace left in the game.
Right.
So, and then we just get to Final Four, and either Jesse or Carla is in the Final 3, and they win the game.
Right. I think the thing is, too, with Jesse, I'm like, I understand why he did the idol play for Owen, but at the same time, I don't know if it was a thing of like, oh, if I hold on to this idol, I'm a threat the next round. But Boo making that
it doesn't matter. You already have an idol.
Right. So it's like it doesn't make sense. Like, yeah, and that's why it's like, yeah, people could say Jesse was robbed or whatever, but he robbed himself because, honey, you had a clear path. You had all the chips in your ball was in your court, and you fumbled it.
Yeah. He fumbled it big time because I agree with you, Jack. If he would have he knew the votes were falling on Cody. He could have just let it be. Carla would have never played it because she wouldn't have got spooked to play the idol. So they would not have played it, and they could have both of them had 2 idols. He would have had 2 idols going into. He would have had 2. I said he would have
had 2, and then
Carla would have had 1, and then Owen still wins immunity.
Right, Owen still wins immunity. So then you play your idol on whoever you want to stay. Carla plays her idol on herself, and then you play the other idol on yourself. Like,
realistically, Cassidy would have gone home.
Yeah, I think Cassidy would have gone.
Cassidy would have gone home, making Gabler still more than likely the mercenary who takes out either Jesse or Carla at Final Four.
Yeah,
and then
do we think
Jesse?
Anyway. Oh, we know Jesse wouldn't win Final Four challenge.
Because Jesse can't win a challenge to save his life.
Do we think Carla would have did better in Final Four challenge? Maybe.
No,
her hand was screwed up. There's no way.
True. You're right.
The only scenario where Jesse wins firemaking is against Carla.
Yeah, I think.
So
and even that I'm not sure of, to be honest.
So then that begs the question then, if Cassidy gets taken out at 5, who wins the Final Four challenge then?
So when I had actually analyzed it, my thought was, okay, Owen got a good way up.
Yeah.
And Gabler got a good way up. Owen was the farthest before rage quitting and breaking the only thing he could use during the challenge. But that was the sign to me of like, yeah, no, it was probably going to be Owen that won in that case. And if that's true, then Owen, I would assume, I think at that point, Owen takes Gabler.
Owen takes Gabler.
Owen takes Gabler because it doesn't, I don't think it makes sense for Owen to drag anyone else.
And if y'all notice, they think at this point, thinking of their logic, they think Gabler's a go.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
That's why both of their jaws dropped when Gabler actually won. Because they were like, Gabler won.
I was going to say, is there a universe Owen takes Carla? And then we're forced in the same scenario where Gabler takes Jesse out in fire, and we have a final 3 of Owen, Carla, Gabler. Because I think that's a possibility.
Is it a universe that physically exists? Yes. Is it a universe that probably happens? No. I can't see that happening.
And judging by Owen's tweet about Carla the other night,
I don't think that.
They are not friendly.
The real question of the season is, who is friendly with Carla after the season?
Apparently Jesse.
Yeah.
Not that many people.
Obviously, once again, there are things we just didn't see, which then I'm like, oh my god, yay! What?
So
we'll get into that, but some of these votes I was very confused on.
There was
And-
one vote that made me very happy, and we'll talk about it. But let's start with the final 5 advantage. This is an advantage sort of situation that we've been seeing the last couple of seasons.
Mhm.
It's a word scramble, run down the beach, find an advantage, and it gives you it's pretty much been the same exact sort of advantage where you just have in the later portion of the immunity challenge at final 5, you get a little bit of whatever you have to transport somewhere else already transported for you. Like, that's literally what it's been the last 3 seasons. And this one comes down to Carla and Owen. And Carla ends up snatching it right out from Owen's hands.
I was like, Queen. Queen.
Truly, I was like, with a busted ankle, she is still slaying the game.
Like, what? Queen.
It wild to me.
Crazy.
Wild. So we go to immunity, and it is water obstacles, obstacle, transport your blocks over a seesaw, and then we have a good old word puzzle.
That was the interesting part. It's like, okay, you're gonna give the advantage to the person who can solve the word puzzle, and then have a word puzzle as the final part.
Presumably, but
why?
she didn't win. Now,
Right.
I'm gonna be honest here. I don't know if this was just the case with my specific CBS channel, but when I started watching the episode on the West Coast, or I guess the Mountain Time feed,
Yeah.
they didn't start with the intro. They accidentally started with a clip of Owen and Cassidy walking up to the sanctuary. Like, it was a full station error.
Wow.
And so I knew as soon as Jeff was like, the reward is a trip to the sanctuary, I was like, oh, so
You know
Owen
who
or
won.
Cassidy won immunity. Cool. Like, it cut away very quickly, so I didn't see who had the necklace on. But I was like, oh, Owen or Cassidy wins immunity. Cool.
Yeah, that sounds like they played probably like the accidental third or fourth commercial break?
Third or fourth, yeah. It was like the third commercial break accidentally at the start, and then realized their mistake before anything major could happen. But yeah, it was kind of wild. And my roommate missed the whole thing because he had just gotten home from the gym. So he comes out and I'm like, oh my God. But bye, Lana.
Unfortunately, I do have to go. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm at the hospital right now with my sister, and she just had surgery, and she just called and said she needs me to come back to the room. So I'm gonna have to dip out. But y'all know how I feel about this season. Yeah,
Gabler.
Gabler.
Love you all.
And Lana will be back very soon with more Survivor content. Let's just say that.
Period.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which we will be talking about at the end of this podcast. But
all right. But yes, I love you all. See you all later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
So yes. So I got spoiled, which was very fun. So exciting. Loved every moment of it. But the puzzle or the word scramble comes down to everybody. Everybody's in the word scramble. We unfortunately did not get the Survivor crossfade of nobody realizing what the word puzzle was. But,
there was Gabler having,
oh boy,
I think both a V and a U that was just a C in a different direction, which is honestly impressive.
bless his heart, let me tell you. But
yes.
Truly, the fact that we are recording this on a Friday, the finale happened 2 days ago, and yet Gabler is still trending on Twitter. In my universe, at least, is kind of wild.
Still trending.
But yeah, so Owen ends up getting the word puzzle very, very quickly. He wins immunity. Woo, good for him. Woo, yay. And then he takes Cassidy to the sanctuary, I think because they were the only two that had not been yet.
Probably.
Because all three of the others had been to the sanctuary, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah. At this moment, though, when Owen takes Cassidy, I have some hope for Carla because I'm like, at least she's with the majority of people that are left. Maybe they could plan something. Maybe they could plan something against Cassidy. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that doesn't really happen. Carla does her damnedest to try to sow seeds of chaos, and
look, she did she fought as hard as she could on the way out. I'm not super happy with her going, yeah, no, I'm gonna tank the jury, because that's something that I can't respect, like, at all. And she later said that on, I believe, Mike Bloom's interview, that was a complete farce and a really, really last ditch attempt. But yeah, no, still not happy.
No. Do we think there's a world where she could really get out Cassidy with Jesse if she really meant it? Because I was like, Carla, you're saying Cassidy, and then you're taking Cassidy to the side, and then you're saying Jesse. And I'm like, it was kind of messy at the end. I understand, like, grabbing at straws at that point, trying to do whatever she could. But I think there's a world where Carla really could have gotten Cassidy out, but I know Jesse was the bigger target, and she was just like, I need to get Jesse.
Yeah.
It just,
I don't know.
At the end of the day, it didn't really work. And I don't think it was ever going to work.
What we did get, though, was the one and only live tribal of the season. And I said, thank God, it is about time that something... It didn't change anything, but it still happened.
No, it was so great to see. I was like, does Carla have hope? I just was like,
I was like, oh my God. I loved Owen also being all of us being like, oh, we're finally getting a live tribal. Oh, good. The super fanness of this man. I love Owen. Let me just make that very clear. I love Owen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do agree with you, Robyn. I think there is a universe where, had Carla played things a little bit differently in this round as well as the previous two rounds, I think there's a universe she makes the final four here and Cassidy does get taken out at 5. However, we talked about it a little bit last week regarding, a lot of the moves she made at Final 6. You could tell that the mental and physical degradation of her body had gotten to the point where she just wasn't making the clearest decisions.
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? It's like people on Survivor, they're barely eating. They're not really cognitive of sometimes what they're saying, and that could cause some hysteria. And this is what probably got Carla to be a little more messier than she probably would have been. But yeah, it was just sad to see because I know we've seen Carla this entire season really do some damage, right? She really had great strategic play when it comes to knowing who to vote out and things like that. So I'm like, even, I know she thought Jesse was a big player. Like, I need to get Jesse out. But if she really could have pulled Jesse to the side, I know she doesn't know Jesse has an idol, but really go up to her and be like, hey, we're the biggest targets right now. We need to stick together because either one of us goes out now or we both go into fire next round and one of us at least makes the final four. But again, they're starving. They're delirious. So, like, I get that. But I do see a world where Carla could have convinced Jesse. And I hate to always use the race card, but, be like, hey, Latinos to the end or something. She could have really pulled out at the end,
Yeah.
Like, hey, there hasn't been many Latino representation or something. I don't know.
Not really much at all.
Carla, I'm trying.
I will also say, I mean, the part that screws with me is that Carla literally said the exact reason to Jesse why she shouldn't have voted out Jesse when she was convincing him to play her idol on her, when she was convincing him to play the idol on her, and then voted Jesse anyway. Like that was the part where I just go,
Right.
there's a connection here that you missed. But
Yeah.
also, this is, I think that the only other thing I can compare it to is, and I hate to do this, the Ben bomb, where the idol was publicly revealed. And this time around, Jeff didn't immediately accept and confirm it, but Jeff is very much like nudging it as like, yeah, that's definitely real. Like they're and I think everyone at a certain point they looked at it and they were like, yeah, no, that's the real thing.
Well, and
like,
one person very specifically
Janine
looked very. Oh, don't worry. I have it. Oh, don't you
I'm
worry.
gonna be using this picture, this gift for every shock moment I have.
This is now. If you're a Big Brother fan, then you already know this is the new Britney. This is the new Britney. This is the new Jan face crack. Like this is. Trust, we have an arsenal of reaction images here at the Cup.
I assume you have the other two from later on in the episode.
I don't know. I only pulled the Janine one because I mean,
right.
The full
the full. Oh my God, that's my idol. How did that happen?
Yeah, and you could tell that her heart was breaking, and everyone around her was like, "Oh my God, Janine!"
And the most impressive part, once again, is that knowledge's powers never fucking worked, but it has worked in stealing idols that do not actually belong to you.
I hope and I pray that 44 gets rid of the knowledge's power. We did not get confirmation in the trailer, but I sincerely hope it's over and done with.
I think realistically I want to say it's done with, just because literally they tried to do it 2 times this season and it wasn't even used. The person who got it was just immediately shot out the game.
Yeah.
And the only time it has worked is as a threat to break the format. So if the only way an advantage works is that the threat of it will cause chaos to occur and the actual advantage does not do anything, just throw out the advantage and get some other method.
I honestly, although it has not worked, I do like the idea of it being in the game and it causing so much chaos, because it did give us a big moment this season of like Dwight passing it off to Jesse, and then now Jesse has the secret idol, which was a big moment. So it can cause these game-changing big moves to happen, even if it's not working the way that it's intended to. It's still doing something.
I don't think 44 will have any lack of drama and intrigue based on the 2.5 minutes that we saw. So I'm not super worried. I'm not super worried about it. God, I can't wait for March. I'm gonna be honest. I cannot wait.
I love how we're just trying to avoid as much as we can talking about anything about Final Four and Final 3.
Carla gets eliminated. I'm sad.
Carla goes 4-1 like expected.
Robbed 5th place icon queen. Icons go 5th?
Some would say the best player goes out of 5th place, me and Penthouse.
5th is my common placement in Big Brother, where I typically get, oh, you were a hero, you were robbed. And I'm like, I fucking know.
5th was the furthest I had ever made it in a game for a while. And then I got 3rd.
Yeah.
And I still have never made a Final 2. It's fine. But yes, Carla gets eliminated. We waste no time. We immediately go day 25, Final Four Immunity Challenge. And it's a classic immunity challenge. Robyn, you're going to see this in your rewatch of all the seasons. You're going to see this very frequently, especially among the modern generation Survivor. The maze with the cups stacking challenge. I will say this, and I don't know if you will agree, Jack. This was one of the more dramatic ones for me, only because the wind played such a bigger factor in this one than I ever remember it playing in this challenge before.
I think I was watching one of the challenges. I think Ozzy was in this before, and his got blown over by the wind. So, yeah, I love that. The wind really could do some damage in this challenge.
Yeah.
I mean, I just love the classic, oh yeah, you've seen this game at a carnival before. Played for $1 million. Good luck. Like,
I mean, isn't that what Survivor and Big Brother are?
Yes,
when you boil it down,
to a degree,
like,
it is literally carnival games
glorified
just on a bigger scale.
Glorified carnival and childhood games. Like that's what these shows are. But that's why we love them, right? Like it's this like bigger than life sort of situation.
And some they use torture, like the last gas.
Oh, you want to talk about torture?
My favorite carnival game, fucking drowning.
No, when I think of torture on Survivor, I think of potentially the hardest final immunity challenge ever. It's from Australian Survivor, Brains versus Brawn, where they have to stand on pegs. They're in this like open cage situation. If you're not familiar, they're in this like open cage situation with like just like the ground is nothing but pegs that you have to stand on.
Yes.
And then the cage is slowly lowering as the hours go. So your body is slowly getting contorted into different positions.
Oh my God.
And it's one of the wildest challenges I've ever seen. It's wild.
They took notes from Solitary, which is, if you don't know what Solitary is, all of it is on YouTube. Just know that it is a show about pushing humans to the limits, and you can imagine what that means for various challenges. It's not fun. But yeah. So we've gone from that to a table maze with cups. But I really love this challenge. I love this challenge too.
For Final Four, this was kind of a lame challenge for Final Four.
I don't remember it being the final tribal challenge ever.
I don't think it was ever.
Last season it was the hypnotic ball maze, correct?
Simultron or whatever. Simultron.
Whatever.
Thank you.
Whatever it's called. And I believe that was the case with 41 as well.
I want to say that was the case.
Was something different, I think.
Wait, really?
Because 42, Romeo won it. Who won Final Four and 41?
40.
Xander. It was the one where they had to stack the blocks.
Oh, yes. I do
blocks
remember.
That spelled out immunity or whatever.
Yeah.
Another weird challenge to have at Final Four, but go off.
Yeah. Emotion is a good Final Four challenge.
I think it's the best Final Four challenge, in my personal opinion.
I'm like, why such a challenge? Like the stacking blocks and then this stacking cups at the Final Four?
Yeah, this one we've seen a lot in like the Final 5, Final 6, and I want to say they've done it at Final Four before. I'm just not remembering.
I can't remember it either. Yeah. But
yeah, I said, I'm not an encyclopedic. I don't have an encyclopedic knowledge on Survivor. I'm getting there, but Big Brother is where I have my encyclopedia.
I am currently running through the Survivor wiki in order to figure this out because I'm very interested.
I just learned from the little videos I seen on YouTube and whatever.
Yeah. The last time it was used was The last time it was used, it was also a final immunity. Actually, wait. Huh. Okay, so the only times it's appeared as individual immunity, it has been final immunity in One World, Millennials vs. Gen X, and Survivor 43. The only time it hasn't is as a duel during Blood versus Water.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Blood versus Water 1 or Blood versus Water 2?
1. I think this is
Okay.
yeah, it's 27 seasons.
I think it would have acknowledged San Juan del Sur as the title.
It would have acknowledged San Juan del Sur.
That's a season I want to go back and review, if I'm being honest. Robyn, if you have not watched San Juan del Sur yet.
I know what it's about. I know the winner.
I know, but it's one of those seasons where like we've started talking about doing past season recaps just for fun.
I don't see why not.
San Juan del Sur is one of those seasons that I want to do, but who knows? We might get that at some point in the lull of Survivor season. Eventually, maybe
just give me a heads up, so maybe I could try to binge.
Yeah,
I don't know if that'll happen during like Australian Survivor season because we go Australian in a couple of weeks and then straight into 44. So not sure, but we'll see. Maybe a summer thing. While we're doing Big Brother, our like fun activity will be rewatching.
Well, guess what? I'm not gonna be on the podcast then because I'm gonna be on Big Brother.
I will also be on Big Brother. Don't worry. Oh boy, I'll be on Big Brother.
I'm not getting on. I just booked the job for CBS. I'm just
period.
trying.
Oh, they're gonna give us tea.
Anyway, so this challenge comes down to Cassidy and Owen. They're both doing it.
Gabler
they're both
was
playing
close, right? And then the win.
Gabler was close.
And then the win came.
And then the win came and knocked over Gabler, and then it knocked over Owen, and he broke his stick.
I did call it while I was live tweeting. I'm like, did he just, that looked like it bent at a weird angle. Did that just break? And at that point, yeah, it was Cassidy's challenge to lose. There was no way anyone else was going to beat her.
No.
And Cassidy wins. And
as soon as she steps on the platform to claim the win blows it down her.
She is doubled over crying and he just falls. And I'm like, could you imagine?
Right.
Like, oh my God. Like, no.
I just imagine.
I kind of wanted it to happen.
Everyone's stick breaking but one person, and somehow it's just Jesse going, yeah, so everyone else can't do this. Can I just win by default? Is that an option at this point?
Literally.
But
so we go back to camp.
Bullshit. We go to bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so Cassidy's won. Jesse knows he's going into fire. It's just a matter of whether Owen or Gabler is going to take out Jesse
or Cassidy.
Or Cassidy, which like I don't.
Okay, yeah, we're going to talk about this later.
And apparently, this is the $1 million decision. Apparently, from what a few jurors have said online, this is the $1 million decision, but not for Cassidy's sake.
Yeah, and there's also been a fun trend. If oh my God, I think it's 6 or 7 out of the all 10 seasons at the simplified Final Four has been enacted. The person who makes fire and wins the season. And if it's happening that often, it should be an issue.
I believe the only person to not make fire and win was Tommy.
I will
in Island of the Idols.
That
I don't remember him making fire. I remember Dean making fire.
I think you're right.
I also put a lot of Island of the Idols out of my brain.
For a variety of reasons.
For a good variety of reasons. It's got pockets of a good cast that I would like to see back, but the season, not great.
The season can burn.
One person in particular can burn, but some people are fun. Anyway. Yeah, so we go to Tribal. Cassidy takes Owen. Gabler and Jesse are in the firemaking challenge.
Yes.
And Gabler sets a fucking firemaking record.
Don't sound so enthusiastic, Logan.
I was just like, the whole time I was just like, okay. He's doing
stomping.
It.
I mean, he literally was begging to make fire. Like, this man wanted to do it. And at that point, honestly, Cassidy, I know she didn't want Owen to get that last big move, as she said in her final speech or whatever. But like, no, if Gabler is begging so hard and you know how good he is at fire, do not put Gabler in there. I'm sorry. Cassidy. I don't think making fire is $1 million move, but yet again, I have not watched a lot of Survivor. I've only seen this. This is my third time watching the firemaking challenge. I don't think it's $1 million move. I just think it just added more to Gabler's resume.
Yeah.
That's all. I don't think Cassidy made the wrong decision by not going against Jesse, because she's already earned her spot at the final 3. I don't ever think you should give up it to show some flashy move.
Well, in one season that you'll maybe watch, that's literally the reason someone won. I was going to say, actually, now that I think about it, Marianne didn't make fire.
Marianne and Erica are I believe, the 2 exceptions.
Tommy made fire?
I do want to check Tommy, but
I really don't remember Tommy making fire.
I'm literally scrolling to the bottom of each thing. Yep. Okay. That
again. Most of that season I've put out of my brain, other than like Lauren and Karishma, if I'm being honest.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Yes,
so
you are correct. Because Tommy won immunity.
Exactly. I was like, Tommy won the final immunity to get him to final. Yeah, and that's how he won.
Yeah.
Still don't know how he won necessarily, but whatever. So Jesse becomes our final juror. I don't know if they've said anything about the Sia prize. I'm going to be honest. She's not my favorite human in the world for various reasons. Mm-hmm. And if you don't know those various reasons, go Google them.
I know some of them.
It has to do with a lot of people. It has to do with a lot of neurodivergent mess. We're going to put it as mess because there's a lot.
Yes.
As someone with several family members with autism, her actions disgust me. Mm-hmm. Let's just say that. However, I will say that her charitable donations throughout the years to Survivor players are great. And I hope that if she does one this year, I don't think anything has been said about it in time that we're recording. I do hope that if she does decide to give money to someone, I hope it goes to Jesse. That's what I'm going to say about that. Jesse is by far and away the person that will return if someone from this season returns.
If someone returns, it will be Jesse, and then I want to say either Carla or Cody.
Yeah.
I would, honest to God, I would love to see Janine back just for the reaction images alone.
Yes.
She earned another spot on a season just with her reaction images alone. But we have a final 3.
And just to quickly sum up that tangent before about how fucked firemaking is, the only people who have not made fire and won are Nick Wilson, Erica, Marianne, Tommy. That's it. Every other
6 out of 4 or 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10 have made fire, and only one of them actually won immunity.
Can I ask a question?
Go for it.
Like, the people who did win that made fire, did they take out a big threat in the final 4?
Usually,
yes. The first time it happened, it was a very, very obvious ploy to make sure that the person they wanted to win won. And do you want me to say the season?
I don't care.
It was heroes versus healers versus hustlers. They threw as many twists and idols to Ben as possible to make sure he would win. And that is the literal season it started. So that is why everyone thinks it was rigged. And then they had to
I
continue
don't
it
think
because
it was rigged.
and then they had to continue it because otherwise it'd be like, why did you only do it there?
It would be like on Drag Race when they did like the split season or the split premiere and then never did it again. Like that's how I viewed
Except
it.
when they did.
Except when they did multiple times. But they don't do it every season is the point I'm trying. Or no. Let's make a better comparison. It's like season 13 when they did the episode 1 twist.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it, but they've never done it again.
Yeah, they could have did it once, maybe 2 seasons, at maximum 3, and then like went back to what
I
it
hope
was.
that now they've done it for 10 seasons, we retire it for 44. I don't see that being the case.
It's not going to retire for 44 because all of 41 and 42 have been paired. 43 and 44 have been semi-paired.
Yeah.
It would likely disappear at 45 the earliest.
They filmed 43 and 44 back to back. So
Yeah.
I would say, as a person who's only seen it 3 times, 41, 42, 43, I'm already over it,
Yeah.
Or like at least mix it up. Be like, okay, at Final Four, 1 person wins immunity, and then the 3 of them go into a fire making.
Sure.
Something like that.
I like
at least
that
mix
a
it
lot.
up or something.
Oh, I really like that.
Yeah.
Or just say
I did that to one of my games. That's going to happen in a Survivor game I'm hosting.
Oh, I was gonna say, if anything, Final Four immunity, fire making.
Yeah,
just make all of them do it.
That could be
honestly, just make all of them do it. I think that would be really fun. But alas,
that way, everyone has to learn
but
the skill during
here's
the season, right?
The issue is that fire making initially is the Final Four tiebreaker. You cannot, if that doesn't exist as the Final Four tiebreaker, it doesn't work. The thought process that I went through was, okay, if you instead have it where it's now all final 2s, you just have the person who wins immunity drag someone else, and that doesn't make any sense. So what if you had it during final 3? Well, then the person who won doesn't really get an advantage at all from winning. Like, simply put, there is no way to currently revise the format in which that works.
Well, no, what I meant by that, and I didn't clarify it enough. Yeah. Final Four immunity is fire making. The first 3 people to make fire make the final 3. That's my scenario. I did not clarify that well whatsoever. That's my scenario, and I think that would make things a lot more interesting.
And it's making people earn those spots, right?
Exactly.
Instead of like at the final 4, like someone wins and then they take someone with them,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've had scenarios where Erica and Marianne has won in that way, but it's like, I don't know.
And they were both taken, which is they were both taken.
Yes.
Which is an interesting dynamic to look at. I think after 44 happens, I would love to do like a recap of like the 4 seasons and just like see what all is like really different with things, because I think that's an interesting dynamic to look at, and specifically looking at 41 and 42 and then looking at 43 and 44 as like paired seasons.
Yeah.
But regardless,
one last little tidbit because I just realized it. So immunity winner is one immunity winner for Final Four in the last 10 seasons. That's been 1. Person's been dragged in 3 times. And then the remainder are all, people who made fire and then won. Mm-hmm. Funnily enough, they're all male. I don't know if that's a connection. But
everyone that's won a fire making is male.
Everyone who has won a fire making is male. The only females who have won in the past 10 seasons are Erica and Marianne. That's it.
Oh, well, I knew that. I meant the fire making, like the winner of the fire making challenge. Because didn't
wanna say
Nora
that-
didn't Nora win the firemaking?
Yeah.
Again, Island of the Idols.
I don't know.
Not a season I remember much at all.
Not a season I remember. Yeah, no, that is a season
Anyway.
you don't want to remember. Anyway, yeah,
Anyway.
no, Nora definitely won that. Anyway,
Yeah, I was like, I feel like I remember Nora winning.
Wait.
Nora, a character. I don't.
no,
Anyway.
no, Dean won it
Against Lauren. Yeah, I remember that now.
against Lauren.
I was like,
Yep.
There was a woman in that firemaking. I just don't remember her.
She lost.
Yeah.
It's bad.
So,
yeah.
Okay.
Anyway.
Final tribal. We're there. It's happening. I'm going to go ahead and say I honestly thought coming out of Final Tribal, I thought Cassidy was going to win. I thought Cassidy did a great job in Final Tribal.
Mm-hmm.
Personally. I think the one thing that fucked her up was Gabler calling out her misattribution of a move in like the very last question.
Yes.
Yeah.
And of course, it was the very last question, so that's going to be the thing that sticks in jurors' minds.
Yeah, I just want to say, to me, I was kind of trying to read as much as I could the jurors' body language to people answering the questions. And yeah, as you said, Logan, going into tribal, I thought Cassidy had it. But as I see her answering the questions, I'm looking at Noelle, I'm looking at Janine, who seems like they were going to vote for Cassidy, but then they were like looking at their answers like very weird. So I was like, maybe they don't have her vote. And then Gabler had the jury laughing and they were kikiing.
Yeah.
So I was like,
yeah.
So going out of it, I knew Cassidy probably didn't have it, or it was going to be a close vote. If Cassidy,
I thought it was going to be a lot closer of a vote than it was.
I did think it was a lot closer.
We've talked about it. Gabler won. The vote was 7-1-0,
which is this. I think it's the second time in a row that's happened.
Yeah, because Marianne won 7-1-0.
Yeah.
Erica won.
Didn't Erica won 7-1?
Let me check Erica.
I don't remember.
One day, Sean. I don't know how many people were in the jury.
Xander was a no vote. What is it? 3 in a row of 7-1-0?
Xander was a 0 vote.
It is 3 in a row. 7-1-0.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, was it 4 in a row? But Winners at War had like a ton of everyone.
Winners at War had a giant jury, so the answer is
no. I think didn't Natalie only receive 1 vote?
Yes, it ended up Natalie. No, Michelle didn't receive any votes. It ended
Michelle
up
was
being
the 0 vote.
12-4-0.
Oh, Natalie got more than I thought.
A normal jury size. The only people who didn't vote on that jury were
Sandra was the only person.
And I don't blame her. She was like, I'm done. I'm not dealing with this shit.
I have a season of Australian Survivor to go film. I don't need to be here.
Bye, gays.
Literally. So the 1 vote for Cassidy was from James, and I did love that. And you can see some people clipped it on Twitter. At the very end, when everybody's doing their hugs, Cassidy immediately goes to James and is like, "Did you vote for me?"
Yeah.
And that was just like one of the most heartwarming moments. I loved that. I loved James the whole season. And I was really, really happy to see that. Now we've learned a little bit since the finale about a lot of certain things, such as and including the fact that Carla has said in interviews that she was pretty much gonna vote for whoever took Jesse out in firemaking. Now, everyone is entitled to their own opinion. Everyone is entitled to the way that they juror on Survivor. And I love Carla. Let me make that very clear. However, for me personally, and this is strictly my opinion, I think that's bullshit.
And I will agree with that.
It's bullshit.
Yeah.
I don't...
That frustrates me beyond belief.
So this is a thing we talked about a little bit earlier. Why? So Cassidy winning Final Four immunity, she won immunity, not the choice to send herself to fire. That should not be the choice that she has to make to say, you know what? I want a challenge, So I get to potentially throw my game away.
Right.
Realistically, she would have beat Jessie. Let's be
Do
real.
we? Let's talk about the scenario for a second then. Does Cassidy beat Jessie? Because Cassidy herself,
Because we
Cassidy,
didn't see,
Cassidy herself said, "Oh, I'm not good at fire making."
Mhm.
So I don't know. I really don't. I think this is a pure estimation. I do think Cassidy beats Jessie because Jessie, in the 4 minutes we saw, because that's how long it took, Jessie did not have a great foundation. I think he knew how to make fire. He was just under a lot of pressure at that specific moment. And I think, honestly, I think you could have put anyone against Jessie in fire making. I think Jessie loses.
Yeah.
Personally.
I've said this throughout the entire season. Jessie cannot win a challenge to save his life.
No, he really can't.
He really can't.
He really cannot.
Every single time it seems like he's getting close, there is something that goes wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's honestly kind of impressive. Because if he got to the end, I don't know the last. I think because Marianne won at least one immunity.
Marianne never won.
Really?
Marianne was the last person to not win an immunity and win the game.
She never.
Already. Never mind.
And that's what made her win so much more monumentous.
Yeah.
Was just the fact that like she truly is like the modern day Survivor underdog. Which again, I love Marianne with every fiber of my being. Yeah, I don't know. This final tribal was interesting. Cody didn't really get to say anything. I noticed. A lot of it was dominated by Ryan, weirdly enough, and Noelle, which I thought was interesting. Again, we didn't get Ponderosa for this season, which I'm honestly kind of frustrated about, because I feel like Ponderosa would have given us a lot of insight into the inner workings of what was happening in the jury. And I think had we had Ponderosa videos at least, I think the Gabler win would have been a little bit more obvious. But with that being said, I was happy to see Noelle take a more active approach. I think had the final tribal speeches not happened, I think it's either a closer vote or I think Cassidy wins in like a 5-3.
Yes. The part so I said this earlier. So like looking back, I figured that like looking back at the episode now, it does make sense that Gabler wins. The part that messes with me is that I feel like it was almost not conveyed that he was near competent enough to win throughout the season. He wanted to quit during the first tribal. He basically said, yeah, no, I'll throw my shot in the dark. Why not? Just like going, what? Like for no reason. He then, I mean, for me, when I was witnessing it, the Ellie vote, it looked like it was not a game move. It looked like it was spite. And the only other thing I really remembered from him was the palm fronds. That like palm frond blanket moment. And that was it. So it's definitely a bit difficult to see like, and that's the winner. Like,
I mean,
hold on.
For me, I think Survivor painted a great picture of Gabler in the game that he played. He did go under the radar. I think he did the Ellie move. The next round, he wins immunity, so that way he could lay low.
Yeah.
Didn't even try to steer the vote, even though he had immunity, trying to show people that, hey, I'm someone you could control. playing up that kooky old guy kind of role, you know, which he did best. He stayed under the radar, and he was saying it to us the entire game. I'm hiding in plain sight, which he did most of the game, you know? So, like, I understand why the jury voted the way they voted. I just wanted to get a little more insight because I'm like, I thought maybe Carla was going to vote for, you know, Cassidy, Janine, even Noelle. And that's not from like, oh, they're women or whatever. That was just because we saw Cassidy trying to save Janine when they were trying to vote her out, you know?
Yeah.
And things like that. I was like, those social relationships didn't translate to the votes to me. And that's why I'm just confused. And this is why I always choose Big Brother over Survivor, because at least we got to see a little more. And I haven't seen a season with Ponderosa videos, but if they're as good as you're saying they are and it gives us more insight, I'm like, why don't we have these stuff back to tell a more cohesive, you know?
Allegedly there are a myriad of potential reasons as to why we don't have Ponderosa videos. One of them involves a woman that was on a previous season that you specifically knew, Robyn, from something else previously.
T.
Where we met, love, but the live version. Tori. It's Tori.
Tori is Tori. Yeah, it's Tori.
Try to remember.
Yeah.
What happened with Tori?
Allegedly.
Allegedly, what happened?
We don't know.
There was some fucky wuckiness. We'll put it at that.
Allegedly, there's something that happened because they stopped. 42 was the first season where they stopped. They had Ponderosa videos for 41.
Did they?
Yeah,
they did.
The last one
I gotta watch that
was not Erica. Heather.
It was Heather.
Heather actively losing it in probably the most entertaining sequence possible.
Can we talk about how Erica and Heather are still like best friends? And Erica went to go see Heather recently. It was adorable. I loved it.
Adorable.
But yeah, so allegedly there were things that happened at Ponderosa on 42. We don't know who necessarily, and we don't know what.
Okay, but what does allegedly that have to do with them showing us things? They could edit that out.
Apparently, it could not be edited out. And apparently, they just didn't do it again.
Yeah. So
okay,
I hope we get them for 44 because I personally really enjoyed them. And you got to know the jurors a lot more too. And you got to see their like immediate reactions to being voted out. And I love seeing that as a super fan of Survivor. But alas, whatever. The other thing I wanna touch on briefly is the external factor of the winner of our season that we are currently reviewing. There's been a lot of discourse online. There's been a lot of discourse online. If you've seen some of the things and you already know, I am not going to go into deep detail. However, in the after show, this is really the only thing I want to talk about in the after show because let's be honest, Gabler talks for most of the after show.
And I barely watched that.
I actually have the exact opposite opinion of they didn't have anything to talk about with Gabler, so they talked about everyone else.
Gabler kept bringing up what he was doing.
Oh, yes.
So Gabler brings up the fact, and we saw it in a confessional earlier in the episode, how he plans and planned to donate his $1 million to, quote, veterans in need. There's been a lot of discourse specifically about what that means. There has been some clarification, and I want to specifically thank both Eliza Orleans for a lot of this information, as well as War Dog from Edge of Extinction. Those are the two people. Yeah, War Dog has had a lot of discourse on Twitter regarding all of this. The gist of the situation is there was some clarification done in an interview with Dalton Ross, who was one of the premier Survivor interviewers, where there was clarification on specifically what charities Gabler plans to donate, and there was discussion of a organization called Veterans Exploring Treatment Solutions.
Yes.
Or VETS is the acronym for it, which is a real charity that exists. But there was a lot of discourse about, like, okay, where exactly does that money go? Who does that money go towards? And who supports those charities, among other things? In the Dalton Ross interview that I read a few hours ago, Gabler talks about how, this is a charity that he supported, and this is also a charity that Ben from Heroes, Healers, and Hustlers supports. And if you are familiar with the ideologies of these two men, then you may not have a favorable opinion regarding this. I want to go to what Eliza was saying on Twitter. Specifically, a lot of the 43 cast members were defending Gabler, talking about how, oh, he's not on Twitter, oh, he's not seeing things, to which Eliza pointed out specific liked tweets of Gabler from his Twitter account discussing various things such as transphobia, such as making fun of pronouns, such as making fun of vaccine mandates, and a myriad of other things that, frankly, I don't want to go into.
It's too dark for this. Simply put, it's too dark for this.
What I will say, and I come to this as I come to a lot of things, I look at this as Gabler is a character on this reality TV program that we just watched for 3.5 months. And what I will say in that regard is I think Gabler deserved his win. I think Gabler, the character on this show, was very well produced, well edited, and I think at the end of the day, he deserved his win.
Yeah.
Gabler, the person, cannot stand, will never interact with again, don't want anything to do with him. I'm not surprised by any of the things that have come out about him. I'm not surprised in the slightest.
I'm not surprised either.
I'm disappointed. And that's kind of all I want to say on it. If either of y'all want to say anything, please feel free. Obviously, this is the forum to do that.
I mean,
but
I will say quickly, of course, his words have impact, right? And him having the privilege that he does, his words impact people a lot more. So as a person on the receiving end of those like things, because I do use non-binary pronouns, I'm also trans. So like these things affect me. And I by no means stand with anything that he says about people like me. And I don't support those views. I will say, watching Survivor and stuff, I do have to open up my mind and just focus on the character, as you said, Logan, on the TV screen, how he's portrayed there, and what he's done on the show. Everything he did on the show, great job, Gabler. I support you on that. I don't support everything you do in real life. And that's why I'm a defender of Gabler, because I'm like, he did good in the show, regardless of his political views or whatever. He never showed any ill will to anyone on the screen, regardless of race or gender or anything like that. We didn't see it, and the way that
we
his
know of,
are defending him, it seems like he didn't let that play a part in his game. And that's all I could ask for, right?
Yeah.
Because keep all that out of the game, right? As a person who brought that into a game before,
Well, and and not to interrupt you, Robyn, but we're also coming off of a season like 42, where race was brought up very, very distinctly, and there was a very powerful conversation.
That is the one thing that I'm not super happy about, because this season they went for inspirational moments, but I think they did intentionally tone down talking about anything about race or sexuality because of the bullshit that they got. And I literally saw underneath posts oh my god, I'm happy this is a season without politics. The exact comments that weren't happening last season, and that's the part where I go,
Yeah.
no, those were some of the most poignant moments of
No.
the modern season. To have those go away is not amazing.
I also think it's the cast dependent also, right?
Yes.
We also had the only two black women on the season. They went out pre-jury. We had the only gay man on the season go out pre-jury. So maybe we could have had those stories later on down the road, but those people didn't stay in long enough for us to have those conversations.
But they were judged to not contribute to tribe's strength.
I agree. Listen, and that's
if
anyway.
If Ellie had just not been obsessed with Mariah, none of this would have happened.
That part.
Anyway,
that part.
Exactly.
Ellie's worst nightmare came through.
Yeah.
Truly.
It's Ellie's fault.
I think overall, it's Ellie's fault. We're blaming Ellie. That's fine with me. I will blame Ellie. Lana is not here to blame Ellie, so I will blame Ellie extra on her behalf. But yeah, as a predominantly queer and predominantly POC podcast, it's just a little frustrating to end the season like this. I'm going to be honest. And it doesn't help that we're, the next thing we're going to be covering in the Survivor universe is Australian Survivor, which doesn't always have the best casting when it comes to people of color. What I will say is from the cast that we already know for Australian Survivor, we have 23 of the 24 survivors. They've done a lot better.
They've done a lot better.
There is improvement, and I'm happy to see that. And also, if you have not watched Australian Survivor, you might want to tune into the previous season, and you might want to tune into this season because Nina Diaz-Twine is back on our screens. And I, for one, am very, very thrilled about it. But to wrap up 40... go ahead, Jack, sorry.
No, go ahead, because I'm going to jump into 44 because we got...
Let's wrap 43 first. It is a season that existed. It is a season that happened. It is a season that we watched. It has been compared to Island of the Idols, Gabon, Thailand, and I think
Island of the Idols is too far. Island of the Idols is too far because of what happened on the season. It will always be the lowest ranked season. I feel like
Thailand and Island of the Idols are kind of interchangeable.
Yeah, but I think it is on the same level as Gabon, where it's like, this was weird, and I'm a little confused at the end of the day, but I guess I'm kind of all right with the mess.
Yeah,
and that's what you take away.
Yep. Robyn, any final thoughts on 43?
It's over. That's all I can say. Listen.
Sure.
I keep saying it, but it's the truth because I've only seen 3 seasons live. 43. So yeah, it wasn't my favorite season. I think
you got spoiled with some good seasons to start, Robyn.
Yes.
It was 42, 41, and then 43 in that order. If I had to rank them, I think. Although, I do think Gabler deserved his win, I don't think he's not a top tier winner to me, nor do I care to have him in that top spot. Like he's not that big a player to be in that. But
Gabler, the character, I think will fall mid for me at the highest. That's kind of where I'm at as a winner.
And I think if anyone were to come back, it would definitely be Carla, Jesse, the Codys. I would love to see Cody back. Hey,
I want, and she's been kind of campaigning for this all season. I want them to finally do a first boot season so we can get Mariah back on our screen because that would just be. Could you imagine Mariah and Cassandra on the same season?
Reem.
Oh my God, and Reem.
If you're not following Mariah on Instagram,
get on it.
Or TikTok. Or TikTok for that matter.
Yes. She makes some really great content.
Oh my god, Reem.
Yeah.
Wait. If it's all first boots, that means we could get Natalie Anderson again. Oh, shit.
That is something that I immediately went to, like,
actually, I don't know, because she came back. So would that make last place? Oh, that would make last place Amber, though. I wouldn't be mad at that.
Yeah.
I would not be. Anyway, I don't think they would ever bring a winner back for a first boot season.
There are a lot of good first boots. I would want to open it to first and second exclusively so I can have Mari Takahashi back on my screen because she was fucking robbed anyway.
But she went third.
She went second.
Oh. Well.
Yeah.
That's fine with me. I love Samari, so
yeah, and also, oh god, was that Island of the? Yeah, it was. It was definitely Island of the Idols where someone went out first due to No, it wasn't. No, that was Extinction.
That was 42.
That was for. Fuck.
That was Jackson.
Oh fuck.
Yeah, bring Jackson back, sure.
Yeah, Jackson, the guy who injured his back on the boat ride back.
Who?
Okay, wait, no, I'm not making this up. I'm not making this up.
Anyway, I remember that. I just don't remember who. Let's talk about this 44 trailer that we got because
they're killing people.
I cannot wait for March 1st. This feels. We got 2.5 minutes. This feels on the level of Cracked as Co-Wrong. And if that's the case, I can't wait. So they start the trailer, and it is a shot of a singular man climbing a rock. And I'm like, I'm sorry?
Right.
And then the rock breaks.
And then he falls. And I said, oh no. Oh no. We have multiple medical emergencies. We have drama. We have intrigue. We have a hot man with a beard, who I will be simping over the entire season, provided that he's not a bad person. Fabulous people. Allegedly, there is someone from Arizona. So, provided that she is not crazy, I will be rooting for her as well. I'm thrilled for 44.
There is also the woman that talked about rubbing rocks on herself. That is a Discord order.
I don't know who she is.
People apparently know of her.
I don't know who she is, but yeah, apparently she's an order, which is
that's fabulous.
I'm standing. What her name is? Carolyn, I think.
Carolyn? Yes, I want to say Carolyn. I'm not going to say her name on Discord because I don't know it, and also that's weird. And then it ends with a man who is referred to as Yam Yam as a nickname, shitting in the ocean, and that is exactly what I need.
Okay, so now we can talk about it because Yam Yam has been revealed. I've known a few things about the cast for a while. I will say, thankfully, and I believe this is true, I can't remember for Amazing Race is the one that I can't remember for. But I believe Yam Yam is the first person to be on the CBS trilogy of reality shows from Puerto Rico.
Correct.
So, thank the Lord above.
That actually lives there.
Yes.
Currently.
Yes. We almost got one on BB24, if you know, you know. But I'll give you the tea. But yes, I cannot wait for Yam Yam.
Yeah, and instead you're getting that and then instead it's now
her. Yeah.
I thought you were going with an M or something.
Oh, do you? Oh, well, okay. T afterwards. Anyway.
Afterwards, got you.
Yeah, I think her name is Carolyn, the Orger, which love. I mean, the last Orger we got, the last two, and Tori. Pretty decently.
Tori.
The last one that we got was, well, no, the last one that we got was technically Sammy because Sammy played one live game. Sammy played Survivor Treasure Island. I think that was the name.
Oh.
Yeah, no, it was like some weird thing.
But
where
are
it's
you
just
an
like,
order if you just played one?
I don't
No.
know. And I don't know if he only played one.
That's
Yeah, we
why
don't know. We don't
that's
know.
why I love her to death, but I don't consider our friend Audrey an orger. Anyway, that's that on that. Survivor 43 is done. We'll be back in February to talk about the
I played
cast.
more orgs, I thought. Maybe.
Anyway, I don't remember if I'm being honest. We'll be back in February to talk about the cast for Survivor 44, which I'm very thrilled about. In the interim, though, starting
Okay,
you're welcome anytime. I want you to watch Australian Survivor. I think you would love Australian. I think you would love
I
Australian
just
Survivor.
know it's hard to get like the stream, and then that's a lot of work.
Don't you worry about that on your end, honey. I got you covered. But we will be discussing Australian Survivor, Heroes versus Villains, featuring a lot of incredibly exciting cast members. If you're unaware, the season is actually half returners and half newbies.
Because Australian
which is gonna
Survivor needs to be different and also have what, like 24 cast members?
It's a 24-person cast. It's a longer season. It's more episodes per week. So it's 3 or 4. We don't know yet.
Good lord!
They are prepare
per week.
Oh, prepare for multiple feature-length films.
Yeah, it's
per
what,
week.
like 6.
Girl, I don't have the attention span.
It's worth it though. Honestly, it's worth it.
I know it's worth it, but that's a lot.
It is. Oh no, it is. It
That's
absolutely
a fourth
is.
of a day.
Oh yeah, literally. But it's so worthwhile. We will be back very, very soon with a cast assessment for that season. We are literally missing one cast member because they've been doing Instagram reveals throughout the last month. So we have 23 of the 24 people as of like 2 hours ago. Yeah. So make sure to subscribe, like, share, all of that, so you know when our Australian Survivor coverage comes out. Make sure to follow for all of our content. We are now in a CBS reality trilogy lull at the moment. We will be back, very soon, like we said, for Survivor 44. We'll be back very soon for Big Brother Canada, season 11. Arissa Cox on my screen again, which I'm very thrilled about. And in the interim,
we have Tough as Nails.
Oh God, I love some Phil Kogan. Don't get me wrong, I could never get into Tough as Nails, but I'm happy Phil Kogan is getting paid in the down season from The Amazing Race. And in the interim, if you like drag, make sure to check out our coverage of the 4,712 drag seasons happening at any given time.
Keeping up, jeez.
By the grace of God and losing some sleep.
There's more coming.
Oh boy, there's more coming. So, Jack and Robyn, I want to thank you both for joining us for this season. Becoming, I'm going to go ahead and say, permanent correspondents for the Cup. I said it. I said it. I said it.
Now that you've said permanent, I can flake and never show up again.
That's fine. I'll just block you.
Shit.
Cool. Anyway, with
I'm excited for 44. It looks like a really great cast. We're standing Yam Yam. I cannot wait. Hopefully, I'll get into Survivor Australia. I doubt it. But yeah, thank you all for having me here and letting me speak. And
always,
I appreciate it.
Catch up on Drag Race.
What? I mean, I'm watching Canada versus the world. So
then come talk about it.
I know. I'm just like, I don't talk much about Drag Race because, no offense, half of the time it's just rigged, and then I just always get upset even though I know they rig, and I'm just like, I get too invested. I'm like, yeah, I know spoilers. I know who's the top two.
Sure, yeah.
If that's the truth.
With that said, thank you for that part. Thank you for joining us, and I have an empty Red Bull can, but cheers!
Same.
Cheers! I have nothing left.
Woo!
Yes, empty drinks.
We have nothing Nothing. No, the copyright.
Oh my god. Of course, the last thing you're gonna do is make us fucking have a copyright strike.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Leave. Holy
Bye.
fuck.